Hello everybody, lifespan development. Today under this we are going to deal with the topic late adulthood. The objective of this lesson is to understand the concept and characteristics of old age, to understand the developmental tasks related to old age and to understand the changes and coping strategies of late adulthood. Old age or late adulthood. It is perhaps the most difficult to define precisely because there is a wide individual variation in the physical, cognitive and social process of aging. Normally, we can say this late adulthood or old age, it is a period that begins in 60s and lasts until the death. Late adulthood, it is a time of adjusting to retirement, adjusting to decreased strength and health. It is a time for new social roles and for reviewing one's life. Old age is not a curse, but a blessing in its true sense, for it is 100% look back at the time and one can recollect the achievements and stay calm. In order to attain a peaceful old age, one should ensure that his developmental tasks are met and that his or her has own positive vision about life. The wisdom of grey hair is matchless. Hence, old age is the wisdom age, which should be spent very wisely. Old age is usually considered to be a closing period of the lifespan. It is the later part of the life or the period of life after the youth and middle age, usually associated with deterioration. The concept of old age is one of the attention from time immemorial. Plato, an ancient Greek philosopher, has divided the lifespan into 6 stages, of which the last 2 constitute the old age, that is 60 to 80 years. The advanced age, that is 80 years till death. The old age is subdivided in this modern world as early old age and advanced old age. The period of old age during which the physical and mental decline is gradual and when compensations can be done for this decline is called the senescence, and the period during which a more or less complete decline of mental and physical decline takes place, it is called as senility. When old age begins, cannot be universally defined as it shifts according to the context. United Nations suggests that 60 plus years may be usually denoted as old age, which is the first attempt at an international definition of an old age. However, WHO, World Health Organization, recognized that the developing world defines old age not by years, but by new rules and the loss of previous rules or inability to make active contribution to the society. Most of the developed countries set the age of 60 to 65 for retirement and old age social programs eligibility. So, this is about the old age or late adulthood. So, after having understood the importance of this late adulthood, let us see what are the characteristics of the late adulthood or old age. Old age is a period of decline. Decline comes partly from the physical and partly from the psychological factors. There is a change in body cells due to aging process. Unfavorable attitude towards oneself and life in general can lead to decline or become depressed and disorganized. Motivation plays a very important role in decline. There are individual differences in the effects of people aging. People age differently because they have different hereditary endowment and different socio-economic and educational backgrounds and different patterns of living. The general rule is physical aging precedes the mental aging. The next characteristic is that the old age is judged by different criteria. Old age is judged in terms of physical appearance and activities. One has a white hair is labeled as old. There are many who try to cover up their aging symptoms to create illusion that they are not yet old. The next important characteristic is that there are many stereotypes of old age. Old age or late adulthood, let it be in folklore, the media, the poetry, fiction, jokes or different forms of humor or scientific studies, all portray the aged as those who worn out physically, mentally, unproductive, accident prone, hard to live, and days of usefulness are over, should be pushed aside to make way for younger people. Poor adjustment to the characteristics of old age because of unfavorable social attitudes towards the elderly that are reflected in the way the social group treats them. It is not surprisingly that many of the elderly people develop unfavorable self-concepts. These tend to be expressed in maladjusting behavior of different degree of severity. So, these are the characteristics related to late adulthood or old age. The first developmental task of the late adulthood is that adjusting to the deteriorating health and physical strength. The elderly must accept the fact that they are physically weak. They must not engage themselves in activities that require higher health quotient. They should, however, engage in leisure activities that involves mental and physical exercises optimal to their potential. The next important developmental task is adjusting to retirement and reduced income. The center for developmental task that characterizes is the transition to old age is adjustment to retirement. The period after retirement has to be filled with new projects, but is characterized by few valid cultural guidelines. Adaptations to retirement involves both potential gains, that is self-actualization, and losses, that is loss of self-esteem. The next important developmental task of the late adulthood is meeting social and civil obligations. This developmental task involves a role change. Unlike the middle age, the elderly people have a minimal role in economic activities. They must engage themselves in activities associated with wisdom and share their valuable experiences to the younger generation through the possible social interactions. And the next important developmental task is adjusting to the death or loss of spouse. One of the bitter tasks of old age is coping up to the death of the spouse. It is a difficult one because it contributes to the loneliness of the spouse. The task is more difficult for women who depend on men for their economic sources. The next developmental task is affiliation with members of one's age group. Loneliness is curse of the old age. By making healthy friendships with the people of same age, they can overcome to the same to a great extent. The small groups of elderly can be very helpful in this regard. Establishing good physical living arrangement. Minimum standard of life is required for successful old age. One has to arrange the same through good planning during the middle age itself. Elderly has to take a good care about their living environment and also ensure about the quality. So, these are the important developmental tasks during the late adulthood. In addition to this, there are some other tasks which a late adulthood should have accomplished. That is, promoting intellectual vigor. The elderly are often experienced and educated. In such cases, they can spend their time in creative activities like research which contributes to the intellectual stream. Developing a point of view about death. As a culmination of old age is death. The elderly has to develop a vision and a world view about death to prepare themselves for the impending future. They have to find some positive thoughts and aspects about death and accept that fact. Another important developmental task is developing a psycho-historical perspective. The elderly has to develop a psychological perspective of aging basing on the historical facts. They have to analyze how aging has been a universal process in the history of mankind and people of past have coped up with it. Nowadays, we are listening to the word successful aging. Successful aging means that the contemporary experts view successful aging in which gains are maximized and losses are minimized. Successful agers are the people for whom growth, vitality and striving limits and at time overcome their physical, cognitive and social declines. Researchers want to know more about these characteristics and development so that they can help the seniors age well. Yet, theorists disagree on the precise ingredients of satisfying old age. Some focus easily on measurable outcomes such as excellent cardiovascular functioning, absence of disability, supercognitive performance, creative achievements. But yet, this view of successful aging has been heavily criticized. Not everyone can become an outstanding athlete or innovative scientist or talented artist. Recent views on successful aging has turned away from specific achievements towards the process people use to reach personally valued goals. This perspective avoids identifying one set of standards as successful. Instead, it focuses on how people minimize the losses while maximizing the gains. In late adulthood, external physical changes, including the changes in the skin, that is wrinkling and loss of elasticity, loss of subcutaneous fat, thinning of hair, changing in general posture because of loss of collagen between the spinal vertebra. These changes occur during the late adulthood. Along with this, there are many internal changes which are less apparent to the onlooker but important to the functioning of aging individuals. These include the changes to the cardiovascular system, the loss of cardiac muscle strength, decline in muscle mass, reduction in efficiency of respiratory, digestive and urinary systems. Let us see in detail the physical changes. It has been found that the body organs of most of the persons show 0.8 to 1% decline per year in the functional ability after the age of 30 years. Part of this decline is normal. Some are disease related and some are caused because of the stress, occupational status, nutritional status and many other environmental factors. The major physical change associated with aging are described as external changes. Internal changes and changes in the sensory capacities and cognitive abilities also occur. Let us see some of these changes. The external changes. These changes refer to the symptoms of growing old that can be seen in an individual. With many individuals, the symptoms of aging can be seen as graying of the hair. Aging skin shifts its posture, appearance of wrinkles and other changes. The physical appearance and mobility. The inner physical strength declines, as we have considered, are accompanied by many outward signs of growing old involving the skin, the hair, the facial structure, the body build. Because these changes occur gradually, older adults may not notice their elderly appearance until its arrival is obvious. Creasing and sagging of the skin. This extends into the late adulthood. In addition, the oil glands that lubricated the skin, they become very less active, leading to dryness and roughness of the skin. The age spots increases. In some elderly individuals, the arms, the back of the hand, the face may be dotted with these pigmented marks. Moles and other small skin growth also appears. The blood vessels can be seen beneath the transparent skin, which has largely lost its layer of fatty support. This loss further limits the older adult's ability to adapt to the hot and cold temperatures. The body build changes as well. The height continues to decline, especially in women, as the loss of bone mineral content leads to further collapse in spinal column. These are some of the external changes that are visible and takes place during the late adulthood stage or the old age. Internal changes refer to the symptoms of growing old that are not visible. These include changes in the respiratory system, the gastrointestinal system, cardiovascular system, and the central nervous system. Let us see what are the changes in the sensory capacities. With advancing age, there is a gradual slowdown in the sensory abilities. As we know, we communicate with outer world through the senses. Loss in any of the senses can have a profound effect on the psychological and social consequences. Changes in the sensory functioning becomes increasingly noticeable in later life. The older adults see and hear less well. Taste, smell and touch sensitivity may also decline. The hearing impairment are far more common than the visual impairment, and they extend the trends described for middle adulthood, in that many more men than women are affected in the sensory capacities. Vision. The structural changes in the eye make it harder to focus on nearby objects and see in dim light or perceive color. In late adulthood, the vision diminishes. For example, the cornea becomes more translucent and scatters the light, which blurs images and increases sensitivity to light or glare. The lens continues to yellow, leading to further impairment in color discrimination. From middle age to old age, the cloudy areas in lens called the cataracts increases, resulting in foggy vision and eventual blindness. Besides biological aging, heredity, sun exposure, certain diseases like the diabetes increase the risk of cataracts. Fortunately, removal of the lens and replacement with an artificial lens implant or corrective eyewear are highly successful for restoring this vision. Next, internal change is about hearing. Reduced blood supply and natural cell death in the inner ear and auditory cortex, along with stiffening of the membranes, cause the hearing to decline in late adulthood. The decrements are greatest at higher frequencies, although the detection of the soft sound diminishes throughout the frequency range. In addition, the responsiveness to startling noises lessens and discriminating complex tone patterns become harder. Taste and smell. Older adults have greater difficulty recognizing the familiar food by taste alone, but no change in the number or distribution of taste buds takes place in later life. So, the drop in taste sensitivity just described may be because of the factors of aging or smoking, dentures, medications, environmental pollutants can all affect the taste perception. The next important sensation, that is touch. The touch sensitivity is especially crucial for certain adults, such as severely visually impaired who must read in braille, and people who make fine judgments about the texture in their occupations or leisure pursuits, for example, like art and handicraft activities. These are the physical changes, which includes the internal changes and the external changes. So, after having understood the characteristics of old age, the developmental tasks related to late adulthood, and what are the physical changes that takes place during the late adulthood, let us now see on the Erikson's theory. The final psychosocial conflict of Erikson's theory in the late adulthood is ego integrity versus despair. It involves coming to terms with one's life. The adults who arrive at a sense of integrity feel whole, complete, and satisfied with their achievements. They have adapted to a mix of triumphs and disappointments that are inevitable part of love relationships, child rearing, work, friendships, and community participation. They realize that the paths they followed or abandoned or never selected were necessary for fashioning a meaningful life course. The capacity to view one's life in the larger context of all humanity as a chance of combination of one person and one segment in history contributes to the serenity or contentment that accompanying integrity. In a study, people ranging in the age of 17 to 82 years, the increased age was associated with greater psychological maturity, measured in terms of striving for generativity and ego integrity in everyday behavior. Generativity and ego integrity in turn is largely accounted to link between the age and psychological well-being. Just as Erikson's theory indicates, the psychosocial maturity of these later years seem to be increasing happiness. The negative outcome of this stage is despair. It occurs when elderly feel that they have made many wrong decisions, yet time is too short to find an alternate route to integrity. Without any other chance, the despairing person finds it hard to accept that death is near and is overwhelmed with bitterness, defeat, and hopelessness. According to Erikson, these attitudes are often expressed as anger and contempt for others, which is a disguise of contempting for oneself. Elder maltreatment. Although majority of older adults enjoy a positive relationships with the family members or friends and professional caregivers, some of them suffer from maltreatments at the hands of other individuals. The recent media attention has led elder maltreatment to become a serious public concern. Elder maltreatment takes place like this: the physical abuse, intentional infliction of pain, discomfort, or injury through hitting, cutting, burning, physical forces, and other acts. All this come under the physical. Psychological abuse, verbal assaults, humiliation, and intimidation, isolation, or placement in a nursing home. All these can cause a psychological abuse. Now, after having understood the elderly maltreatment, let us see of coping up the problems during the old age. We must be wondering whether the process of aging can be stopped, or can anyone remain young throughout. We have noted that aging is a biological process. If the process gets affected, many other things like the stress, the tension, habit, undisciplined life, ill health, work habits, all these leading to a disciplined life means giving the body enough time to rest, proper work habits, less tension, proper nutrition, spirituality. It seems that aging can be delayed, but no one can escape from it. One must not deny and accept one's age and act in a realistic but optimistic manner. Different people adopt different coping strategies to meet their life challenges. Some of the effective coping strategies are developing an attitude of flexibility so that one may adapt to the pressures and problems of old age. recognizing that one has to explore new ways of coping with the life events. Greater use of information seeking and problem solving strategies rather than withdrawing or isolating. Increasing self-confidence, self-reliance, and developing healthy attitudes about one's strengths and weakness. Learning and maintaining effective coping skills and adopting an active approach towards the environment. Use of the above styles of coping can be effective in making healthy adjustments during the old age. Old age is culmination of life cycle, ultimately resulting in death. Man from time immemorial has been trying to evade this process of aging. However, the outcome of this psychological fear towards aging is nothing but ageism and fear of death. Old should be seen in a new light. It is an ultimate phase of man's life and it should be met with enthusiasm. For achieving a peaceful and serene old age, one practice the developmental task of is engaging oneself in a fruitful activities and keeping oneself in the company of others can help in this regard. The society should ensure that the aged dare and given respect and not insulted in case of ageism. Efforts to utilize their valuable practical knowledge must also be organized. Old age and death are fate of all, hence reap respect in future to show respect in present. So, today we have understood the concept of late adulthood or old age, the characteristics associated with the old age and the developmental task that has to be achieved by the late adulthood period. We also have understood what are the changes that takes place, the internal and the external changes, and then we have understood the Erikson's psychosocial conflict of the late adulthood, that is integrity versus despair. And then we have understood what are the elderly maltreatments that takes place and the coping strategies for the old age people. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you.